But now I have the full transcript and all context. Let me write the new story. People keep asking me if I saw the signs. Honestly, I did. I just told myself I was wrong. I'm Walter Greer. I'm 49 years old, and I've spent the last 14 years building a life I was genuinely proud of. A home inspection and property consulting firm in Raleigh, North Carolina. A house in Cary with a screen porch I built myself one summer. And a marriage to a woman named Christine that I would have bet my life on. I met Christine when I was 34 and she was 32. She was a hospital administrator at a mid-sized medical center downtown, sharp as a tack, funny in that dry way that sneaks up on you. We were introduced by a mutual friend at a 4th of July cookout, and we talked until the mosquitoes drove everyone inside. She had this quality. I don't know how to describe it exactly, but she was always the most grounded person in the room. That's what I fell in love with, the steadiness of her. We got married in the fall, 2 years after that cookout. Had our son Caleb. No, wait, I need to stop. Our son Joel 3 years in, then our daughter Maya 2 years after that. Joel's now 13, Maya's 10. The firm grew steadily. Not flashy, but solid. Christine kept working part-time after the kids came, took on more hours when Maya started school. Life was busy, good, normal. But perfection is just an illusion, isn't it? The night it came apart was a Wednesday in late October. Nothing unusual about the day. I'd come home around 5:30 after a site visit, smell of old wood and drywall still on my jacket. Christine was in the kitchen, but she wasn't cooking. She was sitting at the island with her laptop open and a glass of white wine, and she had this expression on her face, not stressed, not tired. Decided. That's the word. She looked like she'd already settled something in her own mind before I walked through the door. "Hey," I said, dropping my keys on the counter. She closed the laptop slowly. "Can we talk?" I poured myself a glass of water and sat across from her. "Sure. What's up?" She took a breath. "I've been doing a lot of thinking lately. About us, about me, about where I am in my life." She paused, choosing her words carefully the way she always did. "I feel like I've been disappearing, Walter. Like I've just been somebody's wife and somebody's mom for so long that I don't know who I am anymore outside of this house." I nodded, listening, thinking, okay, maybe she wants to travel more, take on a new project, something like that. "I met someone," she said, "at the hospital. His name is Brendan. He's a pharmaceutical rep." The room didn't spin. It just went very still. "He's been asking me to have dinner with him for a couple of months," she continued. "I've been saying no, but I've been thinking about it. And Walter, I think I need to do this. I need to go, just to see. I need to know if what I feel is real or if it's just..." "Stop," I said. She stopped. I set down my glass. My hand was steady, which surprised me. "You're sitting in our kitchen asking my permission to go on a date with another man." "I'm not asking permission. I'm being honest with you. There's a word for what you're describing. It's called cheating." Her chin lifted slightly. "Only if you make it that." I remember that sentence landing somewhere cold and final in the center of my chest. Only if you make it that. Like the rules of our marriage were mine to manage and hers to redefine whenever she needed room. "Christine," I said carefully, "if you walk out that door to meet this man, I want you to understand what you're walking away from. Not just me. This family. Everything." She was quiet for a moment. Then she said something I'll never forget. "I'll make it right with you later. I just need one night to figure out where my head is." One night to figure out where her head was. Like I was an inconvenience to be managed. Like 14 years was something she could put on hold while she went to dinner with a pharmaceutical sales rep. I didn't yell. I didn't grab her arm. I just looked at her and said, "I've told you exactly what this means. Don't expect things to be the same when you get back." She picked up her purse, said, "Don't wait up," and walked out. I stood in that kitchen for a long time after I heard her car pull out of the driveway. Then Joel came downstairs in his socks looking for a snack and asked where Mom was. "She had something come up," I said. "You want cereal or leftover pasta?" "Pasta," he said, climbing onto a stool. You looked at me for a second. "You okay, Dad?" "Yeah, buddy, I'm good." He didn't push it, but he watched me the whole time I was heating up the food, and I knew that kid saw more than I wished he did. After both kids were in bed, I sat at the kitchen table with my laptop. I don't know exactly what I was looking for at first. Proof, I suppose. Or maybe I just needed something to do with my hands so I didn't sit there staring at the wall. I opened our joint account. I'm a careful man by nature. You have to be in property inspection. You learn to look for what's hidden behind the walls, not just what's visible. And when I started scrolling through 3 months of transactions, I saw it immediately. A hotel bar charge on a Tuesday afternoon. A restaurant I'd never heard of on a Friday when she told me she was working late. Twice, charges at a spa downtown, a boutique women's clothing store I'd never seen a bag from, come through our door. $4,200 over 11 weeks. Not all at once. Just steady, quiet, careful, small enough to not trip the alarm. But all of it pointed in one direction. I closed the laptop and sat there in the quiet of the house I'd built my life in. And I did something I hadn't done in years. I let myself feel the full weight of it. Not the anger. That came later. Just the grief. The enormous, suffocating grief of understanding that the person you trusted most in the world had been managing you. She came home around midnight. I was on the couch. She looked surprised to see me up, then quickly rearranged her face into something careful. I said, "Don't wait up," she told me. "How was dinner?" She set her bag down. "It was nice. It was what I needed." "Brendan's his name?" A pause. "Yes." "How long have you actually been seeing him?" Another pause, longer this time. "We haven't been seeing each other. We've just talked." "Christine," I looked at the accounts. The silence that followed was very different from the ones before. This one had weight. "Those charges," she started. "How long?" She sat down across from me, and for the first time all evening she looked something other than composed. She looked calm. "About 3 months," she said. "But it's not what you think. We've had lunch. Dinner once, that's all." "And the clothes? The spa? Those were for him?" She didn't answer, which was its own answer. "You've been lying to me for 3 months," I said. "While I was here, while I was picking up the kids and making dinner and going to Joel's soccer games and asking you every night how your day was." "Walter, go to bed, Christine." She opened her mouth, then closed it, and she went. I slept on the couch, or didn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling and made a decision somewhere around 3 a.m. I wasn't going to do this in chaos. I wasn't going to yell, throw dishes, call her names. I was going to do this the right way, quietly, carefully. The way I approach every complicated structure. Figure out exactly what you're dealing with before you start making moves. The next morning, I called my older sister Diane. She's a paralegal, married 20 years. The person in my life who tells me hard things without softening them. "I need advice," I said when she picked up. "I'm already making coffee," she said. "Talk." I told her everything. By the time I finished, she was quiet for a moment. "Then, you need a private investigator and a family law attorney. In that order. Don't confront her again. Don't change your behavior. And, Walter, document everything from this moment forward." I was thinking the same thing. "You probably also need to check whether she's moved any money into a separate account." I hadn't thought that far yet, but I did after I got off the phone, and I found it. A savings account at a different bank, opened 8 weeks earlier. $4,000 transferred in, a little at a time. She wasn't just having an affair, she was building a runway. My colleague Stuart, who runs a general contracting outfit and went through a brutal divorce 4 years ago, gave me a name. Ray Harmon. Private investigator out of Durham, semi-retired cop, known in the industry as thorough and discreet. I called him that afternoon. "Tell me what you've got," Ray said when I called. No small talk, just straight to business. I went through everything. Christine, Brendan, the charges, the hidden account. Ray listened without interrupting. "This is a 2-week job, probably," he said. "I can give you a full surveillance package." "This is a 2-week job, probably," he said. "I can give you a full surveillance package. Photos, movement logs, documented evidence that holds up. You'll know exactly what you're dealing with." "How much?" $4,000 retainer. $150 an hour, plus mileage. "I work clean." "When can you start?" "Tomorrow." I met with an attorney the following Monday. Her name was Patricia Stowe. I'm not using her actual name because she asked me not to, but she was the kind of attorney who made you feel like the other side had already lost. Late 40s, methodical, and specifically recommended by Diane, because she was known for property and asset cases. "You've already done most of the groundwork," Patricia told me after reviewing what I'd brought her. "The account records, the screenshots, the timeline. The hidden account alone is significant. What we need from your investigator is documentation of the affair itself, and we need to move quickly. The longer she has to restructure her finances, the more complicated the asset division becomes." "What about the kids?" Patricia leaned forward, Primary custody is absolutely achievable, especially if your work history shows you as the primary caregiver. School pickups, medical appointments, activities. Is that you? A lot of it? Christine's schedule fluctuates. Then we build that case. Every receipt, every school email, every time you've taken him to the doctor. Pull all of it. I spent the next 10 days acting normal, which was the hardest thing I've ever done. I came home, made dinner, helped with homework, watched TV with Christine on the couch like everything was fine. She seemed to relax. I think she decided I'd accepted her version of events and moved on. That was a mistake on her part. Ray called me on a Thursday evening, 2 weeks in. I've got what you need. We met the next morning at a diner near his office in Durham. He had a manila envelope on the table. Inside were photographs. Christine and a man I didn't recognize entering a hotel near the Research Triangle Park on 2 separate occasions. Timestamps clear. Her face clear. His face clear. His face clear. Log showing 3 additional meetings at restaurants, a park, once at what Ray identified as his apartment building. The hotel visits are 6 weeks apart, Ray said. First one was before she told you about him. She wasn't being upfront with you from the start. Of course she wasn't. The hidden account, Ray continued. I'd tracked where part of that money went. 2 nights at that hotel. New luggage. She bought a piece of luggage, Walter. She was planning to leave. I sat with that for a moment. She'd been planning it like a project, like a corporate exit strategy. Quiet, methodical, covering her tracks. One more thing, Ray said, sliding over a separate page. Brendan Marsh. That's his full name. I pulled his background. He's been in Raleigh 3 years. Had a similar situation in Charlotte before this, with a woman at a hospital he serviced there. Her husband reached out to me actually when he saw my name in some divorce legal filings. Says the same pattern, same tactics. Christine wasn't special to him. She was a type. A successful, slightly restless woman in a stable marriage who needed to feel seen, and he found her the way he found the last one. I called Patricia that afternoon. We're ready to file. I'll have the papers drawn up by Wednesday, she said. Do you want her served at home or at work? I thought about it. I didn't want drama in front of the kids. At work. The sheriff's deputy served Christine at the hospital on a Thursday afternoon. I know because Patricia's assistant confirmed it, and because Christine called me 17 times between 3 and 4 p.m. that I didn't answer. When she got home, Maya and Joel were at my sister-in-law's place. I'd arranged that beforehand. Christine came through the door holding the papers like they were on fire. What is this? Her voice was shaking. You know what it is. Walter, you can't, this isn't, we need to talk about this. We talked about it 3 weeks ago. You told me you needed one night to figure out where your head was. Remember? I made a mistake. I know that now. It's not what I thought. We can fix this, Christine. I sat down at the kitchen table, very calm, very still. I know about the hidden account. I know about the luggage. I know about the Charlotte situation with the last woman he did this to. I know about both hotel visits. I have photographs. She sat down slowly. All the air seemed to leave her. You're not the person who got swept away, I said. You planned this. You've been planning it for months. And the man you planned it with did the exact same thing to someone else in Charlotte 2 years ago. That's not true, she whispered. His ex from Charlotte is willing to testify. She put her face in her hands. I'm filing for primary custody of Joel and Maya, I continued. Patricia Stowe is my attorney. She's already reviewed everything. You can contest if you want, but I think you know how that goes. Christine looked up. Her eyes were red. You're going to make me into a villain. I'm going to tell the truth, I said. That's it. I'm not going to destroy you, Christine, but I'm not going to pretend either. She left that night, went to her sister's. I picked up the kids, brought them home, made grilled cheese and tomato soup. Maya asked where Mom was. I said she was at Aunt Paula's for a few days, and we talk about everything soon. Joel looked at me across the table and just nodded slowly, the way he does when he's processing something too big to say out loud. After they were in bed, I sat on the back porch for a long time. There was a week of chaos after that. Christine's attorney filed a counterpetition. She tried to claim the marriage had been emotionally suffocating, that I was controlling, that she'd been managing anxiety for years without support. Her attorney showed up to the preliminary hearing with a folder and a rehearsed narrative. Patricia showed up with a banker's box of documentation. The hearing was 6 months after I filed. Christine's attorney did his best. He tried to paint me as rigid, domineering, emotionally withholding. But then Patricia started presenting evidence. 3 years of school pickup logs from the district app, showing I'd done 70% of the pickups. Joel's pediatric records, in which I was listed as the primary contact on every single form. The financial documentation of the hidden account, Ray's surveillance report. And then Brendan Marsh's ex, a woman named Lorraine. Coincidentally, I did use that name. No, a woman whose name I'm keeping private. Flew up from Charlotte and testified about the identical pattern she'd experienced. Christine's attorney objected several times. Judge overruled him each time. Christine took the stand. I watched her try to hold the narrative together, and I felt something unexpected. Not triumph, not anger, just a deep and tired sadness for all the ways this could have gone differently if she'd just been honest. When the judge read the ruling, primary physical custody went to me. Christine would have unsupervised visitation on alternate weekends and 1 dinner per week, with a review in 12 months. She was ordered to repay the $4,000 from the hidden account into the joint marital estate. She was also responsible for a portion of legal costs. I shook Patricia's hand outside the courtroom. Joel and Maya were with Diane, waiting. When I got to them, Maya ran across the parking lot and threw her arms around my waist. "Dad," she said into my jacket. "Yeah, sweetheart. Are we going home now?" "We're going home." That was 14 months ago. I sold the house in Cary eventually. Too much of everything in those walls. I bought a place a few miles north with a bigger yard and a workshop in the back, where Joel and I have been slowly restoring a vintage Schwinn bicycle we found at an estate sale. Maya got a rabbit she named Biscuit. I adopted a dog named Copper from the rescue shelter down the road. A large and cheerful mixed breed who has decided it is his sacred duty to sit on my feet at all times. The business is doing well. Better, honestly, when you're not carrying the weight of a disintegrating marriage while pretending everything is fine. It turns out you think more clearly. Brendan Marsh moved on from Raleigh about 4 months after the divorce finalized. Left Christine in an almost identical way to how he'd left the woman in Charlotte. Just gradually became unavailable until she got the message. She was devastated. She told me this herself on a Sunday when she came to pick up the kids, standing in the driveway in November rain, looking smaller than I'd ever seen her. "I know there's nothing I can say," she said. "I just want you to know. I understand now what I did. I understood what I was risking and I did it anyway, and I'm ashamed of that." I let her finish. I didn't rush her or cut her off. "I believe you," I said. "And for what it's worth, I hope you get to a place where you're okay. The kids love you. They need their mother." She cried a little. I handed her a paper towel from the roll I keep in the truck, because I am nothing if not practical. "The visitation arrangement can be reconsidered," I told her. "When you're stable, when the kids are ready, that door isn't closed." She nodded, said thank you, drove away. I went inside. Joel was doing homework at the kitchen table. Maya was on the living room floor doing something complicated with colored pencils and what appeared to be a detailed map of a fictional country she'd invented. Copper was sprawled across her feet. I started making dinner, something easy. Pasta, salad, garlic bread from the freezer. The kind of meal that fills a kitchen with warmth without requiring much from you. Joel looked up from his homework. "What are we having?" "Pasta. With the red sauce or the butter one?" "Red sauce." He went back to his homework, satisfied. And that was it. That was the whole moment. Nothing cinematic about it. No dramatic resolution or triumphant music. Just a Tuesday evening in a house that finally felt like ours. Mine and my kids. With a dog on the floor and pasta on the stove and the ordinary, irreplaceable sounds of a family that had come through something and was still standing. I've been asked, since by Diane, by Stewart, by a couple of guys I know who've been through similar things, what I'd tell someone in the position I was in that October evening, sitting in my kitchen after my wife walked out to meet another man. I tell them this: don't let the grief make you reckless. The people who love you need you thinking clearly, not burning everything down. Document what you find. Get a good attorney. Let a professional gather what you can't. And when the time comes, be honest. In the courtroom, with your kids, with yourself. Christine was right about one thing. I am a careful man. I always have been. Turns out that was an advantage, not a flaw. The ghosts of who we used to be don't follow you forever. At some point, if you stop feeding them, they let you go. And life, the real one, the one you build from what's left, it's quieter than the old one. Smaller in some ways, but it's solid. I checked the foundation myself. I've thought a lot about cause and effect since all of this happened. Not in any mystical sense. Just the plain, mechanical truth that actions produce consequences, and consequences don't care about your intentions or your excuses or how you explain yourself afterward. Christine made choices, not one impulsive choice in a weak moment, but a long series of deliberate ones. She opened a separate account. She bought luggage. She had dinner with Brendan twice before she ever said a word to me. These weren't the actions of a woman who got swept away. They were the actions of someone who calculated and planned and decided that what we had built together was less important than what she thought she was missing. And the consequence of that, the natural, unavoidable consequence, was that everything she'd taken for granted came apart. The house, the daily life. The assumption that I would simply absorb whatever she handed me and wait for her to come home. That's the part nobody tells you about betrayal. It's not a single event. It's a long sequence of small dishonesties that compound quietly until one evening the whole thing is just standing there in front of you, completely built, and you realize it's been under construction for months. What I had to decide was what kind of man I was going to be in response to it. I think the hardest thing, and the most important thing, is to stay clear-headed when everything in you wants to be chaotic. When Christine walked out that October evening, I wanted to yell. I wanted to call Brendan Marsh and tell him exactly what I thought of him. I wanted to do something that felt proportional to how I felt. Instead, I sat at the kitchen table, heated up pasta for my son, and started thinking about what I actually needed to do. That discipline. Not the dramatic, cinematic version of strength, but the quiet kind. The kind that makes phone calls and reads bank statements and keeps its voice level in difficult conversations. That's what actually protected my kids. Not the anger, the clarity. Joel and Maya needed me thinking, not burning. And I think that's something worth saying plainly, because it runs counter to a lot of what we're told about how men are supposed to respond when they're wronged. There's this idea that strength looks like confrontation, like volume, like dominance, but real strength, the kind that actually holds things together, looks a lot more like patience and documentation and a good attorney and the willingness to sit across from the person who hurt you and say what's true without theatrics. As for Christine, I don't carry resentment toward her anymore. What she did was wrong. It caused real damage, the kind that Joel and Maya are still, in small ways, navigating. But she's also their mother, and she's trying. That matters. The consequence of her choices isn't that she's permanently excluded from our lives. It's that she has to earn her way back slowly. The way trust is always rebuilt. Not through grand gestures, but through consistency over time. The life I have now. The house in North Phoenix, Copper asleep on the kitchen floor, Maya's rabbit, Joel's report cards on the refrigerator, the workshop out back. None of it exists without the 14 years that came before, and none of it exists without what happened in that kitchen in October either. You don't get to skip the hard part and arrive at the good one. The only way through it is through it. I checked the foundation myself. It's solid,